I'll be making an Isshu ike Shoka arrangement, one material arrangement using flowering cherry. One of the important aspects when making a one material arrangement is you select material and stems that show the characteristics of that material. So in this case, the flowering cherry, we want to make sure we show off that character of the material. So the first thing when I selected my branches was I checked to see if I could find the dark sunny side of the stem. So I've mentioned this before, if you look at many stems, one side will actually be darker than the other. That darker side is the side that faces the sun. So when we insert it into our arrangement, we want to make sure the sunny side faces the soil. So in this case, this is the dark side. So I'm gonna insert it this way. It already has a slight curve, but I'm gonna see if I can accentuate it a little bit. And I am just gently but firmly manipulating the stem so that we get a little more pronounced curve. I'm gonna cut it, and I'm gonna cut it in two directions, and that will help stabilize it in the Kenzon. And I want to make sure the dark side is facing the soy, and maybe a little too far back, so right at about the center of the Kenzon. And I want to see if I can make this tip be right over the insertion point to make it balanced. So this is the sheen. The flowers are about to open. Some have already opened. Most of them are in the process of opening, so that's what we want for the sheen. Let me find a back helper. So here's a good branch. It already has the curve, fully open flowers. We'll have that face the soy. Let me again cut it in a crosshatch cut. Okay. And so the next stem I'm going to put in is the sheen front helper. Let's see. And I'm going to try to give it a slight curve also. Okay, so here is your sheen group. Sheen, back helper, front helper. Okay. Now, here's a good soy stem. Notice all the flowers, or most of them, are open. The dark side of the stem is here, so we want that to face up. And for stems used on the soy side, you want them to be a little more mature, a little older stems or leaves to show the complete character of the material from the buds to the opening flowers to the fully open flowers. So I know I'm going to have a soy front helper, so I've left a little space in between the soy and the stem in front of it so that I could find and insert a soy front helper. Let me include that. Okay, so sheen group, soy, soy front helper. Now I'll add the soy back ashirai or helper. And in that case, I'm going to make this stem, I'm going to remove a lot of the flowers. It already has the leaves, so this is an older stem than the others because the leaves have already started to come out. I'm going to try to manipulate it to get a little backward curve. And when manipulating these stems, I'm actually trying to manipulate them or bend them in between where side branches or side leaves had come out. Don't try to do it at the notch where a leaf or a stem comes out, because it's very brittle. Chances are you may crack the branch and you'll end up with two pieces. Okay, I'm going to readjust slightly. Okay. So now let me work on the tie group. In the tie area, you want some stability. So in this case, I'm going to add some fullness to the tie area to stabilize the overall arrangement. And by that, I mean I'm going to add stems that have clusters of buds or flowers that are about to open. Now, for the tie, what I want is a young stem, or a stem that has very tight buds. It's going to represent the future. The anticipation of these buds opening adds some dynamics and interest to your arrangement. Unfortunately, the stem's very thin. Notice it's a very thin stem. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add another thicker branch right in front of it to give it a little more weight. So let me add this. And then the tie. And finally, let me show you the arrangement. So this adds some weight, okay? But what I would like to do is it's pretty flat down here. So I'm going to add one more ashigai so that it gives it a little more interest and it doesn't feel as flat. And again, it's a tie helper, so I want to have a light stem that has very tight buds. Now let me readjust things. And now I'm going to go and I'm going to clean up a little bit. If I see any stems that are crossing or blocking other stems, I'm going to trim them or manipulate them so that each stem has its space to show off. So an Isshu ike Shoka arrangement. Notice all the stems are tightly placed next to each other. Your shin group, your soy group, and your tie group. Oh, let me readjust this slightly. Isshu ike Shoka, flowering cherry.